It could just seem like we're having banter during like the intro song.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Sounds
like,
good.
so,
Yeah.
You don't want to dance?
No dancing.
Okay.
I'm okay with dancing.
Hey, what's up? Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of SimplyPodLogical, a Simply Nail Logical podcast. Christine's busy this week doing nail art. You can check out the new nail art tools at www.holotaco.com. But today we're joined by our friend and finance guy, Derek. You may remember Derek from episodes such as, the only one you on was something about financial advice. Disclaimer, you are not here to give people professional financial advice.
Correct.
Do we need to say something like that? Yeah.
Right.
He is not liable for anything you choose to do with your money after you listen to this episode. But today we're just going to have some fun and look at some posts on Reddit. Am I the asshole? This is a fan favorite thing. And I've specifically sought out circumstances or posts about money, investments, savings, things like that.
Sounds fun.
Right in your wheelhouse.
Yes.
People might also remember Derek as the guy who spent a lot of money on sand.
So am I the asshole?
Are you the asshole for
spending a lot of money on sand?
If anyone remembers this, we talked about like what was our most like extravagant purchase with money. And I think your example was you built a beach volleyball court in your backyard.
I did.
Which I've never been invited to, by the way.
It's an open invite.
It's an open invite? I could come over?
You can come.
Is it open for the year yet?
It's open, yeah. We've been out about 4 or 5 times already.
We're recording this on the 3rd of May. And it's a little chilly still.
Yeah, it's a bit chilly. Yeah. We had a nice game on Saturday. It was a little bit sunny, but the other ones we were a bit, we had some chilly toes, but we got some hardcore guys that like to play. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Is it shirts and skins? Is that what you do?
Yeah.
Tops off only for all the boys?
Check us out on Instagram, yeah.
Yeah, we'll put a plug down here. Yeah. Okay. I guess we don't need to talk about how much money you spent on sand.
That was the most talked about question on the from the video. But
so we'll drop a link here if you guys want to revisit that episode. A lot of fun. But let's just hop into Reddit examples. Hey, Zyler.
Yeah.
All right. First one. Am I the asshole for hiding a secret saving account without my wife's knowledge? I've been married for less than a year. Wife is not greedy or demanding, but she is financially illiterate, and money for her is a tool, and spending is mostly judged by her emotions. It's like a poem. I found myself starting to save a portion of my salary every month, no matter what. And when I tell her I'm broke, we can't do or buy that, I feel like I'm lying. She earns money and helps me whenever she can, but I pay all the bills and the rent. When it comes to leisure or extras, I'm generous as long as I don't touch my savings. The reason I save it is for security. If I lost my job or any emergency, I don't have much left to spend on myself, clothes, video games. Even I can't buy my beloved coffee capsules. Am I the asshole for secretly saving? Because if I don't with her, there will be nothing much left. She has zero care for money. Ooh. She just doesn't care. And whenever I try to have a financial discussion with her, she freaks out and thinks that I'm holding love away from her by holding money. Money works in her brain in a very different way that I don't understand. Am I the asshole?
Yikes.
No, but like maybe you need like couples
guys.
Counseling?
Exactly what I was thinking. Partial asshole? I don't know.
The worrying thing about this from my perspective is her like equating money with love. Yeah. Like him withholding money or things from her is like, you don't love me. Yeah. That's a sign of a pretty like toxic.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. Yeah. That's not a healthy way of looking at money, right?
I would assume his I think it sounds like his motivation's, pretty pure and makes sense and logical and, making good financial decisions. I would commend him on that. I mean, I don't think saving for emergencies is a real asshole type situation, but... Yeah, based on the headline alone, you'd assume someone hiding money from their partner. Like I have a secret account I keep from Christine because I only use it to spend money on hummus. I don't like her knowing how much money I spend on pita and dip. Did your wife know about the sand purchase? Yeah.
She didn't keep it from her?
No, she knew. She had second thoughts when we got a couple quotes on some of the work to do it, but I think she's okay with it now.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I think it would be hard to hide 330 tons of sand.
330 tons?
Let's
just talk about bring up sand to every answer. Not the asshole, but like it's not a healthy thing to have to hide this in a relationship. You would hope they could come to some sort of understanding, or he could they could grow as a couple. They haven't been dating that long even, or been married that long, I think, right? Less than a year. But like, you should be able to acknowledge that it's important for you with similar goals, or even if they're different goals, just acknowledging the reality of needing to save money.
I think so. I think it's maybe a case of needing to have a honest, frank discussion, so I mean, I myself been married for 18 years, so 18 years.
Oh.
I know I don't look.
Were you just a baby when
I
you
was
got
just
me?
a baby.
You got locked in?
But I think maybe just having a discussion about
communication.
Communication.
Is key.
Yeah, communication is key.
You're doing great filling in for Christine here. All right, next one. Am I the asshole for expecting my girlfriend to not charge me rent when she owns? So my girlfriend and I have been living together in a rented apartment, but she ended up finding a condo and she bought it. She asked me if I liked it when we toured it together, but I had no involvement in the purchase and my name is not on the deed. We moved in there together. She wants me to pay rent when she doesn't even rent. She owns. She wants me to pay Yeah.
It's free.
Yeah. She wants me to pay $600 a month to live in her condo, and I don't think this is fair because she's not renting anymore. She told me if I wasn't happy with that amount, we could live separately and I could go back to renting for twice the price, and she's using that as an ultimatum. She never said I'd have to pay rent when moving into the condo, even though we shared expenses renting, but we were renting. Now she's an owner. She's saying she's giving me a fair half. I think she's taking advantage of me, charging me a lot to live with her. A lot? Like rent would have been more by your own admission, I think. I don't think this person understands what it means to own a property.
Yeah, that there's costs to owning and
not only are her like monthly costs probably similar to rent,
if not higher, depending on the market.
She also probably needed to save a lot of money to buy a condo.
But I mean, he just expects to live there for free.
Yeah, that's what, if she had like been gifted or inherited a condo fell out of the sky into her lap.
Yeah.
Then I might understand like a little bit of resentment about this to pay for something like someone else didn't pay for.
Right.
But she's clearly, that's not the case here.
It sounds to me like maybe he's thinking that she's profiting off it. Yeah. And I guess if I would, you'd feel weird if that was the case, but I think maybe he doesn't understand the costs of ownership. She's not renting, but she's still going to have expenses and mortgage interest and down payments and.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of like ignorance of what it actually means to own a property here.
Yeah.
This might be just a very young person or young couple. I will say there's no like one size fits all approach to like if in a couple. Like when I started dating Christine, she already owned a condo.
Okay.
And I was living somewhere else, but I just started staying there all the time.
And you expected to live there for rent free?
Yeah. Well, for a few months, it was like, well, I am living somewhere else.
Right.
So like, why should I pay to live here? And then it got to it kind of went on a little bit too long. I should have volunteered at some point. Hey, I'm here all the time. I should be paying.
Yeah.
That went on a little too long that I just sort of was there all the time.
Right.
But I guess it's hard to know, I think.
So she just put the hammer down one time? And
she just laid down the line. Get out.
And then you posted it on Reddit? And
yeah, you can find me somewhere in here. So no, I don't know if there's like a one size fits all approach for everyone, but like it is reasonable to contribute living expenses if you are going to live in a place.
So it seems to me that even though these are all financial, like it all seems kind of couple-ish, and a lot of it's just maybe have these kind of open, honest discussions. And
very astute, Derek. No, most of these are like pretty. There's a lot of just like family counseling type situations when you look for like financially themed "Am I the asshole?"
Well,
posts.
it's not. I mean, honestly, in my experience as a financial advisor, like it comes up, and a big part of what we do sometimes is dealing with the emotions and the dynamics and stuff about money. So. None of this surprises me yet so far, I guess. I'll say that.
Well, let us know if one of them surprises you. 3, am I the asshole for cutting my parents off after they lied about saving for me? Throw away because I don't want my username tied to this. That means they're using a fake account on Reddit, in Reddit speak.
Okay.
I'm
a Reddit rookie, so that's good.
Reddit. I'm an 18-year-old male. Ever since I was a child, my parents have told me that they have a savings. I was about to start singing there. My parents have told me that they have a savings account in my name and they'll give me the money when I turn 18. The only rule that was that any time I got into serious trouble or was grounded, my parents would tax me by taking some of the money out of the savings. It was enough to encourage me to not get into trouble often. I recently turned 18. A few weeks after my birthday, I asked my parents about the savings account. My dad got a huge grin on his face and my mom avoided answering. They finally admitted there was no savings. They just used it to keep me out of trouble. I flipped out and stormed out. The next day I went home and packed up my stuff and left, and I haven't been back since. Wow. My parents have tried to contact me multiple times and have had family members and friends try to contact me on their behalf. They've apologized, but accused me of being entitled and caring more about money than family. Guilt tripped me and apologized some more. I'm now staying with a friend and have a job, and I'll be moving to my own place with a roommate soon. A friend of mine told me that it isn't worth ruining my relationship with them over this, and that one day I'll look back and see this as trivial. But I have no desire to forgive my parents or be in contact with them because it isn't just about the money to me. It's about the fact that they were lying for years and made me look forward to something that never existed. Am I the asshole for cutting them off over this?
That escalated quickly, didn't it?
Yeah, and to your point about it being about family dynamics and emotions, this one's a little more serious than some of the others. Because, I feel even weird commenting on a situation of someone about like whether or not they should just cut off their relationship with family entirely.
Yeah.
So we don't really know your full context or full situation.
Yeah.
I will say I understand their upset, not just in terms of the lying, because I think that is more forgivable, but even their attitude towards you now as an 18-year-old, that it's like, my dad got a huge grin on his face, like joke, he pulled one over on me. Yeah. Maybe you were really counting on this for like going to school or something like that.
I can definitely empathize. Like I think we'd all be disappointed if we were told that we had this, and we modified our behavior because we kind of expected that. And
it is a weird parenting technique to be like, I'm going to reward you with money if you behave. Or I guess it's the opposite. I'm taking money away from you if you don't behave. This hypothetical money that never existed. I actually went through something. This is actually a little reminiscent. Like my grandmother has a lot of money. She's still alive. She's kicking somewhere. She's kicking around. I don't have a relationship with that side of my family, but she's loaded. And her birthday, I'm not sure if I should share. I used to get cards being like,
now. Got me interested.
I would get cards that said like, I'm putting money away for your education. And I turned a certain age and I'm like, hey, didn't I get a bunch of cards like that? And there was no money. No money ever came to me. Maybe there was and I just never got it, but it was, But it's different, right? Like I didn't actually have a close relationship with them. Right. But anyway, that is a kind of messed up thing. If I'd actually cared about that relationship and been close to that person.
Oh, for sure. No, I could see. I would, I'd feel upset and disappointed. Yeah. I mean, but I think the friend is kind of on track with saying that. Is it really totally worth ruining relationship? I mean, who knows? Your relationship with I think family. About my relationship with my family, I wouldn't. But again,
that's the thing. We have no idea, right? No idea. Maybe there's a bunch of other. If this was the only reason for you cutting them off, maybe you want to just cool down a bit. But maybe maybe this is symptomatic of a deeper issue.
A deeper issue, yeah.
I will say, if you're going to try pulling something like this, I would suggest being like, sort of flipping it on its head. So instead of like I knew someone in university who did this. They lived at home, but their parents made them pay rent.
I've heard of that. That's, I think, why not, right?
But after they had lived there for like 2-3 years and were moving out, they just gave them all that money back. Yeah. Is that a kind of?
I think that's pretty common. I've heard of that. I've had friends that have had that happen.
So you like teach your kid like some responsibility
of
like
knowing you're forced savings, which is a good way to do it. But then to say, oh, you're paying rent, I'll give it back to you for a down payment when you're done. Or when you move out, and then be like, just kidding, I spent it.
That'd be pretty rough. I bought a boat.
I mean, I think it's not fair to think necessarily that your parents owe you anything more than providing for you and a roof over your head necessarily. But if they're promising you something or they're using that kind of as a carrot. It speaks more to
like the trust you have in that relationship, right?
Yeah. So.
Okay. Oh, fun. All right. Am I the asshole for being resentful at a friend who is succeeding off of my investment advice and making more than I am because he has more funds to invest? My buddy makes about twice as much as me, but I know the market better than him. I've given him investment advice on a short-term options plays that have been successful. He has more disposable income to put into his plays, so he makes more than me on these trades that are my idea. I probably wouldn't normally be too bothered by this, except that simultaneously my long-term portfolio has been hit hard by the drop in growth stock valuations. It's from 54 days ago. For context, I don't know.
Yeah.
He's my friend and I want him to do well, but I find myself growing some level of resentment, feeling as though I'm his free financial advisor. And he gets to profit off my work research to a greater degree than I do because he has more money to invest. I've always wanted to see my friends do well and still do, and I take pride in being helpful, considerate friend, so I feel horribly guilty about the resentment. I don't want to cut a cut or anything like that, but it'd be nice if he paid for a dinner or two or some extra drinks now and then, but asking for that would be ridiculous and it would ruin the gesture itself. So I haven't confronted him, but I find myself growing angry that he hasn't made some type of meaningful gesture or gratitude other than saying thanks. This leaves me in a position where I either continue to be angry, find a way to raise my consciousness to a higher level where it doesn't bother me, or I mention it to him and at that point it feels like I'm asking for a gift. And a gift loses values if you have to request it. This is going on. I think we got the point. I'll just quickly say I could stop giving tips, but I don't want to punish him in any way that negatively impacts him financially. And if I do that, eventually he would ask that's what's up, and we'd be back in a situation where I'm basically asking for a gift. The point is, I feel like I've helped him out a lot, and it would be nice to have it really acknowledged without having to demand it. So in that sense, I feel justified, but at the same time, he's just copying my moves. So if he's succeeding, I'm succeeding, and it feels very wrong to be resentful about a friend succeeding. This was like a diary
like
entry. This kind of said the same thing a few
trip
times.
Around his emotional wheel here. Yeah.
But I included this because I wonder if you have any sort of empathy or can relate to this in any way. Like you help people invest money. If those people have more money than you, is there ever a time where it feels strange that like people are doing better off of your knowledge and advice than you are?
Well, not with clients necessarily, because I mean I'm paid.
You're paid to do.
Get paid to do.
Yeah. Unlike this person.
But I do have obviously all my friends and relatives and
they come asking for financial advice.
Sometimes I get people ask my opinion. I mean, I don't give out that kind of advice because it's you don't know anybody's situation.
It's
so
tough
it's hard
too,
to be
right?
like, hey, don't go buy this or do this.
Give them
that.
a bad tip.
Yeah, well, that's it. It can go bad against you just as quickly, right? And I mean, the basics of investing is diversifying, and so if you're just giving one tip or two tip, I mean, two tips, it could go really right or it could go really, really wrong. So then you're going to be the asshole pretty quick.
Yeah, like if this guy was losing his friend a bunch of money, this post isn't happening.
Would it be the opposite? Would you be buying him dinner? Sorry about the bad tip.
I will say that I have a little bit of empathy for like if I was truly giving out tips that was making my buddy a lot of money. It would be nice if he bought the round of drinks out at the bar, or that's totally reasonable. Yeah. So I don't want to completely label this guy a jerk.
Yeah,
but it's if you're going to be giving out free unsolicited advice, you're not a professional. I don't know. You're not really entitled to anything.
Exactly. You can either stop doing it or you can. I mean, I get it. It's like anything. If you're keep doing favors for somebody and it's really paying off for them at a even much greater rate than yourself, I'm sure maybe you'd want maybe a dinner or a beer or something. Just an acknowledgement.
Or
I get the resentment. But I don't know if that makes you. I don't know if it makes them the real a-hole for feeling that way. But
can I ask one other? I was thinking about this before you came over. Like in your field, I guess you want to present to your clients or people that like. That
I know what I'm talking about.
that you have some money, so you know what you're talking about, right? Like. But it's kind of like real estate agents usually drive like pretty nice cars to meeting with clients. You want to like communicate. That's like a bit of a symbol of something, right. I guess. But at the same time, you probably don't want people thinking you have too much money. Because then it's like, how are you making all that money? Like off of other people's money.
Oh, that's
you know what
true.
I mean?
It is kind of a catch-22 in a way. We remodeled our office or updated our office a little bit recently. And it kind of goes to that. And when we're talking about what to do, we're saying, well, you want it to be nice enough that people know that you're not going to go out of business tomorrow, or but you don't want it to be so fancy that people are thinking, wow, you're just charging me all these fees to have marble countertops and all that stuff. So it's kind of in the balance, and I think I think in the lifestyle side it's kind of similar. Like it's a business of trust, it really is. So I think if you kind of don't portray that certain level. I don't know how to put it, like, because I'm not a flashy person. But you know, but if you show up, you know, in the
if we had a meeting and you're like show up in Gucci slides
Gucci.
and big sunglasses.
I don't know what a Gucci slide is, but
like slippers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'd be questionable.
Yeah.
Any slide. If I show up to a meeting in any slides, I think clients might question. Yeah.
All right. Moving on. Am I the asshole for spending most of my savings on an expensive watch? Yeah. Should we just skip this one?
No, I'm going to hear it.
Okay. First of all, it's important to know that we have separate bank accounts. I guess he's talking about his partner. I just passed the most important exam of my life after 3 years of studying every day for it. And because of it, I just got an offer for my dream job. If I failed this exam, I would have to wait at least another year to try again, and the job offers would have been really bad. Almost 2 years ago, I asked a dealer to put me on a wait list for my dream watch. To be honest with you, I thought they would never sell me one, but yesterday I got a call from the dealer, perfect timing, a reward for myself for all my hard work. When I told my fiance I was going to buy it, we had a big fight. She told me that I shouldn't spend that kind of money on a luxury item, and that I should be saving every euro I have to buy a house when we get married like she is. I told her that I'm going to start making a lot of money and that it's okay if I treat myself with this. If I don't buy it, I would be an idiot. The price on the used market is 3 times the retail price. I told her that, and she says I should buy it and then sell it.
Good advice.
That's clever, yeah. I told her I'm not planning on selling it, and she was not happy about it. She doesn't understand that I want to treat myself with my dream watch. Also, that watch is something I'm going to have for the rest of my life as a reminder for all this years of hard work. Am I the asshole for spending most of my savings on an expensive watch? For context, it's 10,000 euros, which is 80% of my savings.
Wow.
80%.
So what's 10,000 euros in Canadian dollars like?
That's a good question.
Yeah. Or US dollars.
Take a little pause to look that up.
So I am I get it. I mean, I get when you work hard and you want to reward yourself.
Yeah.
You know, we've all been there.
It's a great strategy
it is.
Like both short-term and long-term goals, right?
Yeah. But I mean, like,
you should never spend 80% of your savings on anything, right?
Yeah. I mean, especially a watch. I mean, well, for me, I mean, I just can never, ever see myself spending that much money. I mean, I do have a really nice Fitbit charge.
Okay, yeah. I don't think we can work together anymore. Yeah. You're wasting too much money.
But I mean, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I guess I maybe lack some knowledge of investing in watches. I know some people claim there are some watches that retain their value, or like this person's trying to suggest you could actually potentially sell it more. So in that way, it's kind of an asset and it's not sunk.
Yeah, that's true. I don't
know
guess you have to be somewhat careful, because I know that, I mean, there's a lot of these kind of like alternative asset classes in a way now, like sneakers and all this stuff that like people spend crazy amounts of money on, but there's a market for it. And I'm sure people look at me and my sand and say, "Well, yep."
Yeah, but you're not thinking you're investing in sand. You're investing in your happiness.
Yeah, I'm investing in my happiness. But I mean, I guess that could be said about this. Like, I feel.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have spent 80% of your life savings on a beach volleyball court. Right?
No, that's a good point. Yeah. And and I'm also not a huge fan of, you know, I guess part of the story too is he's spending future earnings, and sometimes that can be a bit dicey too. You know, why not? I guess he's kind of saying, or it was a he or she, I'm not sure. Sorry, I don't want to. But this person is kind of saying that he's got these future earnings, but maybe there was like he's on like a wait list, but he's on a wait list, and he just has this opportunity and feels like if he doesn't do it now, he won't be able to. I don't know, maybe, but.
Yeah. Maybe, but I don't know. Just spending 80% of your savings on anything, and like you're right. Like maybe you're about to start that dream job that's very lucrative, but like
save and wait.
If that hasn't actually happened yet, that's a pretty tough way of thinking about it.
Yeah. And what it's a watch.
Who cares about a
watch? Yeah.
I know some watch people, but I've never really understood it. What would you say if I came in to your office one day and I was like, pull all my money out of TFSA. I want to like invest in Beanie Babies, and I think I could get like a really good return on that. Do you actually have to like talk people out of this, or do you have to learn about other like assets?
Absolutely.
Because I get like properties like the super common one, other than just like funds. But like, is there increasingly I don't know. I'm trying to think like what else is kind of more reasonable. Just
Well,
like I want a bar of gold. Like,
Yeah.
take my money
Yeah.
out of the stocks. I just want
Yeah,
to
I
have
actually had
assets.
a client years and years ago. This was closer to the or this was somewhat after the financial crisis, and it was wanted to take. And I was with the bank at the time, and we had a division we could do that, and he took a bunch of money out and actually bought physical gold.
Oh wow.
And it was his decision to do. I couldn't talk him out of it, and he just wanted. And it was like a couple $100,000 of gold, and
wow.
But at
Did he get it in a bunch of little coins and
no, it
then
was
like
bars.
dive into it?
But that's the thing. If you're talking a couple
Scrooge
$100,000 worth of gold at whatever an ounce, I can't remember what it was back then. Like I don't know, $1,500. It's not that much. Like physical gold. It came in this little box, and even it was pretty.
This probably
surprising.
sounds incredibly tone deaf for people who like don't have a lot of money.
I don't have that much money, or I don't have.
I don't
gold.
have bars of gold hiding somewhere either.
But no, I think to that. I think there are different kind of trends and fads in investing, and you talked about people asking me for investment advice, and I would say I get much more about just say cryptocurrency, and I won't share my opinion on it because it's a very divisive asset class, it seems. But
that's a nice way of putting it.
And I was getting some work done on my house, and the guy doing some drywall was asking me my opinion on cryptocurrency, right? And just because. And before it was marijuana stocks, and before that it was something else. Or so I'd say that lots of kind of the
you have to keep up on these trends.
I do. I have to keep up on the trends, and
Okay, moving on. Am I the asshole for refusing to invest in my son-in-law's company? My wife and I have 3 daughters.
Oh, is that what SIL means?
I only know that from having read further down.
Oh, okay.
Because I also could be sister-in-law, could be a few things. Let's see if I'm right. We have paid for all of their undergraduate educations. This guy has three daughters. My eldest and youngest chose to pursue medicine. We're funding them through medicine school. My middle child got married right out of undergrad to her high school sweetheart and is currently a stay-at-home mom with our only grandson. Recently, our middle child told us that her husband was planning on quitting his job and starting his own company. Naturally, we're a little worried, but that's not our decision to make. However, she also asked us to invest the equivalent of a medical education's worth of money, so like $400,000 into his company. She feels that because we funded the sisters through medical school, it's only fair to get that money to spend. My wife has been more on the fence about this situation, but I'm absolutely against the idea. From my perspective, I'm willing to invest money into my daughter, not the man she married. If it was for her education or a business she was running, I would 100% be on board. I know she's capable and hardworking. However, to me, this is fundamentally different. It's not her gaining skills, experience, and knowledge. My daughter is pretty pissed at me for not respecting her choices, and so are my wife's parents. Mine think I'm right, but they always do, so they make a terrible point of reference. Am I the asshole? Who are these people just throwing around?
That's a ton of money.
That's a lot of money to throw at your kids, first of all, too.
Yeah.
So not the most relatable example.
Wow.
But, I mean, even taking that out of it, just the idea of giving I guess there's a few layers to this, because for some reason my head also kind of instantly goes to the idea of how much resentment you can sort of imbue into your kids if you're throwing a lot of money at some of them and not others, and how that can kind of just tear a family apart and make siblings resent each other. But I guess it totally is the parents' prerogative that they're willing to invest money into their child's education and not their partner's business venture.
Yeah.
Is that the right take?
I think so. I'd say no. I mean, it's probably more nuanced than that, but like if the parents say I will pay for your education regardless of amount, I don't think that automatically means that you owe another child who chooses not to pursue an education the same amount. I mean, I get it, but I don't know.
Yeah, this is a bit of a tough one, though.
That's a tough one.
But Reddit agreed it was a not the asshole, and I'm assuming it just came down to like...
Oh, so that's how it works? Like the people...
Well, I try to ignore it, but it's stickied with a little label there saying that most people voted that poster wasn't the asshole.
Yeah, see, I would have to agree. Secret. I mean, that's my initial take anyway, and I think it's like anything. I mean, and maybe it would be different if it was like the daughter's business, not the son-in-law. too.
It's pretty wild that they'd be throwing that amount of money into something she has no ownership or equity of.
I know.
Right?
And like once that money's gone, it's gone. Like if you gift it, you can't ask for it back down the road, or if there's a
could they gift it to her and like she contributes it as a loan or something?
There's ways
his
to
business.
to
There'd be
do
a
it,
creative way of doing
There'd
this.
probably be a creative way of doing it. But really, if my intent as a parent is to pay for an education, and that's what I was willing to pay for, and there's no, judgment against a child who just chooses not to do it, but that's what the money was earmarked for, and you're not pursuing that, then, that's my prerogative as a parent to say no.
What if this guy turned into Jeff Bezos?
Yeah, then no.
Billions of dollars. He's
true.
not going to give the parents any favors.
No,
right?
he's not. But
Probably
they
not
sound
a very
like they're
good
doing.
chance
They
like
sound
that.
like they're doing pretty
They're
good,
doing all right.
all right themselves. But I mean, I don't know. What do you think? You think same thing?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. This is at the end of the day, it's their own money. But I do worry or think parents should strongly consider what it means to give different amounts of money or different treatment to their kids. Well, and I'm saying this as someone with no kids, so like, what do I know, right? But
I was reading, at least in Canada right now, I mean, we know real estate prices are going crazy. Mm-hmm. There's a huge kind of intergenerational wealth transfer happening with parents helping.
For sure, yeah. I know a few people where this has happened.
Me too. I've had it with clients. I've had it with friends and family members. And
well, how else is anyone
going to afford a down payment?
Me or younger going to afford a house?
It's true. Days, it's true. But so it'd be the same. Could be the same scenario. What if you say, okay, I'll help you with a down payment, and a couple of your kids want to take you up on that, and someone else instead wants to invest in a business? Like, isn't it the same? Could be the same kind of scenario.
Yeah, but again, I guess at the end of the day, whoever's money it is gets to decide these things. You just don't get to decide if your other kids are going to resent you
or not. Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, am I the asshole for getting mad at my husband for not diversifying our stock portfolio?
Nice.
That sounds pretty meat and potatoes. We have a stock account that indiscriminate amount of money in it.
Okay.
I think there's a typo there.
Yeah.
Almost all of the money in this account came from my inheritance.
Oh.
Our rule was after we got married that we would split our picks in half. He would get to play with the half the money, and I would pick the other half. He basically hobbies watching videos on investing, and he's a bit obsessed. He'll talk about with his brother and his friends for hours every night about markets and investments. And I also recently found him sneaking money out of our spending account into crypto and other, even though our budget is very strict. I knew that my husband had pulled several stocks in December. I knew that he was pulling some of my stocks, but I assumed that he was going to wait for a market swing and then reinvest into my picks. I found out today that he has invested our entire portfolio into tech stocks. He invested about a third of it in crypto and the other 2/3 in tech companies. So basically right now our entire investment portfolio is split between our house and tech. My investments always included retail, finance, food, and entertainment to balance out his tech-heavy picks. I was upset with him because he really should know better. We're trying to have a baby, and it puts us in a very dangerous position. Here's where I might be an asshole. I didn't notice until today. It's pretty obvious that he's spending a lot more time focusing on this stuff than I am. This money has been invested for 3 months. I chewed his head off today. I wanted him to pull his stocks and switch, but he insisted that he wouldn't invest in any tech until half our stock portfolio was not tech. So am I the asshole? And just a brief note, while it is my inheritance in stocks, I should mention that his income is worth double what my job and my annual inheritance amounts to. So he pays for most of our living cost base. I guess she realized like it was clear she was describing pretty awful behavior. And she's hey, but he also contributes things. He's not a terrible person.
It's like basement
so like she knew,
dweller.
She knows the answer to. This is the issue with the subreddit, by the way, is almost many people are just writing cases where they already know they're clearly not a jerk and they're just describing someone else being unreasonable.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've already sort of mentioned this unprompted, right, about diversification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how many couples are, that active into stock trading as, but, I always recommend professional advice where it's warranted.
You would say that.
I would say that. But no, I mean, I guess doesn't it kind of come down to the core of, again, communication. Like,
okay, Christine. Yeah. I hear. I mean, like, so I used to invest. I used to do some of the investment ourselves early on between Christine and I. And the decision I made was I was just too freaked out about I didn't want to be responsible for losing a lot of the money she
the
was
money.
making from her
Right.
business at a certain point.
Yeah.
But I get it if like a couple, I think there's like a DIY spirit in a lot of people.
yeah.
And there's so many hobbyists out there that
Yeah.
like, but I guess the thing that freaks me out is like, I don't know, like go on Twitter and you'll just
know.
inundated with takes about like buy these fucking coins or whatever. Like
Yeah.
if you're a more conservative or,
Yeah.
you know, there's ways of teaching yourself how to do this
There is.
yourself in
Yeah,
a way.
there's
And maybe
tons-
you
there's-
would defer to the partner
That's true.
who has really diverted a lot of their own energy into
it,
learning
yeah.
about
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to say, I mean, I think we chatted about this even on the last video. By the way, confirm or deny, am I the only non-family related recurring guest now you've ever had? Because I am a fan of the
Are
show.
you celebrating this?
So this is a big deal for me.
This is going to go to your head a little bit. Okay. We'll have to I think
I
that
need this.
must be true.
I need this.
Who
man.
have we even had on other than family members? I guess we've had some like guests, the chief statistician of Canada.
Yeah.
You and him, right? Maybe we'll have
And
him
I've been back
on.
now.
You've been back. There's
no.
a feather in your cap.
Anyway, I can't even remember
Just
where I
needed to
was
throw
now.
that in there. Okay.
Totally threw off my answer.
Like, yeah, there's ways of having couples
Oh, yeah.
managing their own investments where one person knows what they're doing more than the other.
Yeah, and I should knock it, actually. I think it's great. I mean, I think it
Yeah.
could be something that's done well. I think what kind of struck me about it was they agreed to do it one way.
Yeah, you're a good point. We
And
should
so
definitely
I think
acknowledge
that's
that.
kind of the point,
Yeah.
you know, and my style would fit more with the way she describes her
Yes.
approach, you know, just kind of more diversified and, you know, good quality stuff. He's a bit more growth oriented, and that's okay. And maybe they complement each other, and maybe that'll work. I don't know. Can't give advice.
Yeah.
But if they agree to do it, I think the issue isn't how he's doing it or what he's doing it, whether it's tech or crypto and stuff, whether we agree or disagree. I think the issue is he agreed to do this and on his half, and he's like going behind her back. And
Yeah.
so whether he was buying crypto or I don't know, whatever else.
Beanie Babies.
Beanie Babies, yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Whatever it is. You're right. That's the main issue.
I think
here.
that's the main issue here.
Even if he knew what he was doing is making money, it still wouldn't make it
it still
right.
wouldn't make it right. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
he's, you know, so again, you'd kind of question the.
It would have been a funny sort of twist if like she was like, I always thought our stock should have been in, and she just had a bunch of different terrible ideas,
Different,
right?
yeah.
Then you don't really know who to
Then
agree
you don't know,
with.
yeah. But I mean, I think in the end, if you agree with something, you agree with it, and as soon as
Yeah.
you start doing something behind the back, and
Yeah.
yeah,
There you go. Communication
hot
is key.
take, yeah.
Am I an asshole for saying I wouldn't save my brother's dog from a fire? Oh, this just came up because it had the word savings in it.
Oh.
Okay. Moving on. Am I the asshole for telling
kinda
you
wanna
for
hear it
not? Oh, you want to know about it?
Like, sort of. Well, we'll go back to it if we have time.
We'll talk later.
Offline.
Am I the asshole for not telling my dad he isn't getting the inheritance he's expecting? My mother died when I was 16. My dad remarried another woman 2 years later. My grandparents, my dad's parents, hate my stepmother. I don't like her either. Even after my half-siblings were born, my grandparents never warmed up to her. My grandparents are quite wealthy. My father has been banking on his inheritance for a while. He has been even not been paying into his retirement because he's so sure he will inherit the millions.
Yikes.
I just found out on Saturday that I'm getting the majority of my grandparents' estate. My father is getting a token amount of
Awkward.
$50,000, so he can't dispute it. My grandparents made me promise not to give out any money after, and I intend to keep my word, but I do feel really guilty that my father just spends his money as it's coming in because he's relying on money he doesn't know he won't get. He's also in a lot of debt. Am I the asshole for not telling him? I think grandparents are the asshole
Yeah.
for not telling him.
Yeah. That's probably
Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, even then, I mean,
I guess he shouldn't go through life expecting he's
No.
going to win the lottery from his parents.
yeah,
But,
yeah,
But it seems like it's putting pressure on the kid.
yeah.
Like this could destroy this
This-
poster's
yeah,
relationship with his
relationship with
parents
dad,
because the
yeah,
grandparents
yeah.
are cutting out their kid.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah,
it's
actually-
weird how much of the framing was about like the stepmother.
Yeah.
Like, would you really cut out your kid from your inheritance because you don't like the person they married?
They
I
could
mean,
be.
who knows what the context is
Yeah.
there, but
Well, if they could, yeah, who knows? They could be worried about if they give it to the kid, you know, if
Oh,
the
it
grandparents
really
give
is
the
going
kid, and
to
then
the
it,
stepmom.
you know, then yeah, who knows? Without proper estate planning, it could go, and they're worried, and really they want it to go to the next generation after, and that's again, it's like anybody has the total right to to bequest their assets to whoever they want. But yeah, I mean, you think the discussion would be, you're right.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
similar about the kid one, right? Like
Yeah.
you have every right to do it,
Yeah.
but like consider the family dynamic and
Yeah.
emotional
Yeah, yeah.
turmoil you're dumping in other people's laps.
Yeah.
I guess I want to include, again, this is like fantastical, totally
Yeah.
unrelatable.
Yeah, yeah.
Who are these like 16-year-olds inheriting millions of dollars?
Yeah.
Could just be fake, but like I feel like Reddit is actually full of posts like this, and they seem to get a lot of visibility because I think people really like the fantasy of this
okay.
idea that
Right.
like
Yeah.
there's random people out there like
Yeah.
getting these windfalls
Big
totally
windfalls,
out
yeah.
of nowhere.
Yeah.
And a lot of the posts actually like go in a weird direction of people just like trying to give that person advice on like how to not let getting a bunch of money like that ruin your life.
your life.
It's kind of like the thing where like people win the lottery.
Right.
A lot of those people's lives get worse when they
Worse,
get a
yeah.
bunch of money
Yeah,
out
isn't
of
there
nowhere.
some like statistics show that most of them kind of spend it all within a
Yeah, but
know,
it's not just the spending thing that bothers me. It makes sense that if you're not used to money, you don't really know what to do with it, and you would
Yeah.
hope you would find
Yeah.
someone to help you manage
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I think the thing that freaks me out more is like the people coming out of the woodwork
Oh, yeah.
asking you for money, or
Yeah.
all of a sudden losing relationships because people just expect like,
Yeah.
well, hey, you just got this money, you didn't really deserve
Yeah,
it. Like
yeah.
they feel entitled
yeah,
to it too.
Yeah. Your like fourth cousin pops up
Yeah.
asking for a loan. Or
Like this is kind of seems like a great thing for a 16-year-old to just inherit a bunch of
Yeah.
money, but it's also like kind of might really turn his life upside down in a way. It's a
You're-
it's a complicated thing.
it is, but you're right. I mean, it is kind of it is kind of an unfair thing for the grandparents to kind of put on the kid to just like the grandkid and be like, hey,
Yeah.
FYI. And then, yeah. I mean, especially if the kid knows the financial situation of his dad and knows that he's been expecting
tough.
this. I mean, you can't, it doesn't really justify, it's unfortunate. In financial planning too, like at least when I'm working with clients, I don't like to like assume that clients are getting inheritance, even if they do, even if they're trying to project out their like retirement savings or ability to retire or whatever.
So just be very cautious about that whole idea. You
I
never
mean,
know.
You never know. You don't know amount. You can assume amounts, and I mean, you never know kind of timing of it. So it's better to plan to be able to retire, survive, thrive without it.
Yeah.
And then if you get it, awesome. And if not, you're okay. So I think the behavior of like, spending and not saving for your own retirement because you just assume that you're getting all this money that is coming your way. That's kind of the poor choice, maybe.
Yeah.
Not to be too harsh, but
You know what else you never know? I was talking to my dad about this recently. Like he's getting up there in age,
Yeah.
and he's like, it's weird that you have to think about this, but you kind of have to think about like how much longer you're gonna live
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
or sort of guess.
yeah,
Like, and you're budgeting for like, what, do I live another 10,
Yeah.
20, 30 years? And how like different that makes your financial picture look, right?
Yeah.
Like when do I have to start thinking about that, Derek?
Well, anytime.
Anytime.
No, I don't know.
Thinking about my death now?
Well, it is kind of funny, well, not funny, I don't know if that's the right word, but I mean, when we're, I work with clients that are younger and older, right? And when you start doing kind of financial projections, looking at retirement, can I retire, when I can retire? Anytime you're doing that mathematical exercise, you need to make assumptions. And one of those assumptions is how long you're going to live. So you can't really project how long your money will last unless
Without
you
projecting,
project.
yeah.
And you can do things like you can use the mortality tables and you can guess based on, maybe, and so we'll have that. We usually just kind of use age 95 as kind of a default.
Oh yeah.
And then, and then some
I guess
clients
life expectancy has been going up.
it has been going up. I mean, mortality tables, I think the average like Canadian male is expected to live till like 85, 86 and females a little bit longer.
I thought that wasn't long ago. It was like low 70s. I thought
Yeah.
was that's crazy.
Yeah, I think even earlier before, I mean, that's I think why a lot of like retirement ages were around 65 because you weren't really expected to live a whole much longer than that.
Oh.
It's quite different now, right?
Yeah, well, now it's kind of depressing how into old age a lot of people need to work, I guess,
Yeah.
not because of a lack of planning, but just maybe, I don't know,
Yeah,
whatever
just
their
longevity.
circumstances
Yeah,
are, right?
I mean, technically, it's a like they call it a risk, longevity risk in a way when you're planning. But no, so I mean, we have you'll have clients who will say, okay, we can plan till 95. That's kind of a default figure, and then if they're healthy or they've got a really healthy family history, they might want to look beyond that just to be safe. Or they may say, you know what, like both my parents passed away when they were whatever. I have a family history of this. I don't want to plan to live that long, or
Yeah.
and And so that's pretty
It's hard
interesting.
to.
It's hard.
It must be weird.
It's
hard
an
to tell
awkward
people with
discussion.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, it is it can be a weird discussion, and I think it does force people to kind of think of that, like your dad was saying, kind of thinking, okay. And the right now, if you're in your 30s or 40s, you're kind of thinking, well, 85, 90, whatever, that's forever away. That's a whole different person. But when you're
but time
60,
flies, man. Like I still think of myself in like my mid 20s as if it was yesterday. It kind of freaks me out how like every year I've gotten older, it feels like time's passing even more quickly.
Yeah.
I know it's very cliche to say, but I have found that to be absolutely true.
Well, I hit 40 this year, and
How's
I've
that
never
feel?
been one to like, really care that much about age, but hitting 40, that was the first time when I'm kind of like, okay,
Like I'm not a
I'm
kid
old.
anymore.
I'm old.
Too old to be playing beach
Too old.
volleyball
Well,
and
a
have a
few years
lawn full of
left.
sand.
I've but that's why. So I coach now too. Like I coach my daughter and stuff, and I'm physically fit enough and good enough still
now you're
that when I'm
showing
coaching a
off.
bunch of 13 and 14-year-old girls, that I can still look like I know what I'm doing.
As long as you look cool in front of the
As long as
kids,
I look
you're
cool,
good.
no. But no, I know time flies, right?
Yeah, we sound like a bunch of dads here.
Bunch of old.
All right, and last one. Am I the asshole for using money we earmarked for our 6-month-old's college fund to buy the exact 1972 Ford Bronco I owned as a teenager? We're just a few years away from having one of these sort of crises, maybe.
Yeah. Wow.
So how to begin? I realize that on paper I'm totally the asshole. So they have some self-awareness. But when you dig deeper into my motivations, I'm hoping there's a gray area that anything else.
So he's just on here begging for forgiveness.
Yes.
Okay.
When I was a teenager, my dad bought me this classic 1972 Ford Bronco. It was my true passion. I don't recall a memory from high school that somehow doesn't involve that truck.
Okay.
My dad and I would spend hours and hours working on it together. We went through that especially father-son rough patch when I was a teenager. It was always that Bronco that brought us back together. I made a huge mistake and sold the truck when I turned 19. And my dad died of a heart attack 2 months later, so while not logical, I've always felt a karmic connection between the two events. We had a baby in early February. She's our first and the light of my life. My wife is doing well, but she's back at work, and she's realized that she hates all the daycares we've tried and really wants to be a stay-at-home mom. Plus, she's still very hormonal from delivery, lack of sleep, and breastfeeding, so she's having a rough time and is angry a lot. I guess I need to say this. Do you?
Yeah,
What does this have
seems
to do
pretty-
with the car?
I know.
2 weeks ago, I was driving
That
through
sounds
our
like
town's
rationalization
warehouse
for
district and saw a Bronco that was pretty beat up, but resembled mine. I stopped just for nostalgia's sake, and the owner came out and let me take a look inside. My dad and I had glued a wheat penny under the dash as a sort of security measure, and I just sort of checked, and it was my Bronco.
Wow.
I asked him if he'd consider selling it. He said actually someone was on I-25 as we spoke from Colorado to buy it for $21,000. I freaked out and asked him if I could buy it right there, then and there for $23,000. He said if I could come up with the cash, yes. I had been procrastinating setting up a 529, so I had $12,000 in savings that my wife's parents had given us. I maxed out my credit card to Venmo, and my mom brought down a check for $4,000. And I fucking drove away in my old car. It was like a dream come true. Like a literal dream. It needs a lot of work, but I can't afford right now, but it's mine. Like it's in the driveway. Again, I can't even describe what a joy this is. My wife and and her parents are furious with me.
Yeah.
They feel I was deceptive, that a real man would have sacrificed everything, anything and everything so my wife could go stay at home with the kids, and that's setting aside that they gave us the money for a college fund. My point is my daughter's only 6 months old. We have 18 years to set up the college fund, but this Bronco means everything to me, and if I wouldn't have acted, it would have been gone forever. Now, it can be that same connection between me and my kids. To me, it's the literal meaning of happiness. Like I said, on paper, I'm the asshole, whole story, gray area. How do you guys see it? Is like the car your literal meaning of happiness, or is it your newborn child?
I know. I think the
That's
car.
a little...
I mean, I get the representation of the relationship with his father. Like that's a nice story. It's the actual
Again,
thing.
like,
But
I think all this does is sort of reinforce this idea that so many of these financial decisions, good or bad, all come down to like emotions more
Yeah,
than they
totally.
really come down to
Yeah.
anything rational,
Yeah.
right?
oh yeah, I mean there is. Yeah, that's crazy. I think. Yeah. You don't want to
say,
yeah, I don't. You
like,
don't. I like.
there's
I
a
get
lot of
it. Maybe it's-
sentimental
yeah,
value
There's a lot.
things that-
I get it. I mean,
You were
know,
expecting to just think this guy was a
yeah,
jerk,
I was,
right?
and so
Yeah.
I kind of get it. But at the same time, I mean, the you know, you want to say gray area, but like to me, it's like you think of, you know, you're borrowing on credit card, and you're borrowing from parents, and you're taking, and you know, it's not just your kid's college fund. I get it. You know, your kid's, you know, a couple months or 6 months old, and you got lots of time to save, but what about the money you borrowed on a credit card to do it? What about the money you need to kind of fix it up? So that's my like logical financial advisor brain, I guess. You're kind of saying like this has very poor financial decisions.
Even looking at it from like that purely sentimental perspective, I would like to think like, I don't know, your memory of your parent doesn't have to be tied to that car, dude.
Exact specific.
Like,
I know.
You have that in you. Yeah. It's not in that car.
Yeah, that's true. And and I get, you know, he's kind of saying, and I, you know, as a parent myself, I kind of think, okay, I get it, you know, and I have memories of my dad and certain things like that. But yeah, my memories are with my dad, not with the, you know, the snowmobile we used to go around, or like, you know, that kind of stuff. And sure, it's cool. And it's cool that it's the exact same Bronco. And I get the theory that you'd like, would be so cool if it's this exact Bronco that I get to share the memories of my kids in.
Sure.
But you're kind of saying that it has to be that Bronco to have the same memories. I mean, it could be any Bronco, it could be any car. Like it's the memories.
You can make new memories with your child without taking their college fund.
Without taking their college fund and going into like credit card debt to do so. Yeah. So, I mean, and I don't know. Like it is pretty crazy.
All right. Weird note to end on, but I think we're going to call it there. How do you feel? Okay? Was this what you expected?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Was everybody... Yeah, it was.
Not everyone was an asshole.
Not everyone was an asshole.
Well, the situations almost always describe an asshole, whether it's the person speaking or them describing someone else. So I think that's why.
That's true.
But I mean, you off.
Yeah, but it's never cut and dry, is it?
No.
And it's amazing how much of money, you know, you want to look at just money problems, but 95% of them are all mostly like communication and deception and family drama and stuff like that, and it's. Money's kind of the conduit to it.
And people should know, like we're mostly having like lighthearted conversations about these, right? The point of this isn't to actually, you know, we're not like Dr. Phil or trying to help you get excited about your life or whatever he does, exploit people. Like, anyway, I just don't like Dr. Phil. I don't know why I brought that up. But thank you for joining us, Derek, finance guy.
Yeah.
You can watch our old episode with Derek down here. We'll put a link to it, where we answered audience questions more about like, you know, the beginner, you know, ideas about how much to save, beginner, like sort of just general conversation about savings. Maybe we could do that again at some point, but I also want to be sensitive. I know a lot of the comments on that were good, but they also sort of presumed this sort of, or I think a lot of people were frustrated at this idea that like you can only have a conversation about saving
if you have
money to save, right? And I think there's just so many people out there that are just like, in a position where it's like really frustrating just hearing people talk about money when you don't have it.
When you don't have it,
And that sucks.
It does suck,
Just want to at least acknowledge that. Like, we've talked about some really ridiculous scenarios today of people with like a stupid amount of money just falling into their lap in some of these cases.
And they have problems and they're deceptive with money and all this stuff.
And a lot of people out there are like, I wish I had that problem, right?
Yeah.
So... just want to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
So, see you next Taco Tuesday. We're going to eat some tacos now.
We're going to eat some tacos. And hopefully I get to come back.
Oh, you're getting a little greedy now. You want a third appearance? It's going to go to your head. I don't know. Maybe in exchange for from sand or something, whatever you have to trade.
Why don't we shoot one? Why don't you and Christine come down to the volleyball court?
Could you imagine Christine on a beach volleyball court?
I could.
Could you?
Yeah.
Doing what?
I don't know.
Painting her nails?
We could teach her to play. You used to play, right? So we could,
I used to play a little volleyball. I was a setter. Or I was a libero. I'm talking about high school like it was yesterday, which is another problem I have. It seems kind of like the glory days, right?
Yeah.
But I was libero and setter, but it's been years since I played volleyball. It'd be pretty rough out there.
But that would make it more fun.
Oh, for you? Or for everyone watching?
I'm also an old guy. I'm not as athletic as I once was, but I can still keep.
How tall are you?
6'2".
You're 6'2".
I'm 6'2". I slouch. I should sit up straight.
So I'm like 5'11", but everyone who says that usually just says they're 6 feet.
Yeah.
And like no one's really 5'11", right?
But I mean, in the sport at 6'2", I'm still like kind of the
You're
short
pretty
guy.
short for volleyball, right? It's similar to basketball for people who don't know, right? It's like, unless you're like the best in the world, if you're
unless you can jump. massively.
Yeah, you
then
really need
usually,
good hops, right?
Yeah.
And I guess then you're probably only going to play libero, right? If you're like just around 6 feet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Volleyball is a great game to watch, by the way.
It is a great game.
Some of my like Instagram feed is just like clips of people playing volleyball and like pancakes and stuff still.
Well, I have tickets this summer to the Volleyball Nations League coming to Ottawa.
Is it coming here? Yeah.
Yeah. So some of the best teams in the world are coming.
Is this a beach or this is
It's
court?
indoor. Yeah.
Indoor. I prefer indoor. I won't lie. Yeah. Not just for playing, but also for watching. I prefer like the full team dynamic.
Yeah. A little more hard hitting. I actually prefer to play beach.
Mm-hmm. But it's harder. It's so much harder to jump in the sand.
It is harder to jump in the sand. It's good cardio.
Okay.
So
yeah.
So with the sand, did we ever address the cost? Am I allowed to? Because like it was like
it was a debate.
It was a debated comment.
People were there was one comment that tried to calculate,
and they were pretty close.
Sand.
Do you remember how much it was?
Ooh, I'd have to look it up. But you said how much sand there was, and someone who I guess worked at like a
landscaping desk,
like kind of guessed how much like a good grade of sand.
And I'm like,
was.
And also because I'm not a YouTube guy, and this is my second appearance ever on YouTube in life, not just on your channel, but in life.
It's such an honor for me.
You're welcome. Yeah. Now, is it good or bad? Like, am I allowed to or supposed to read the comments?
I think we should leave the mystery alive about the sand. Do you want to mention the number again?
So it's 330 tons.
330 tons. If
and remember, it's not just the
guess,
sand; it's the trucking, right? Because that's that's like 18. I think it's 18
how many truckloads?
Truckloads. I think it was 18 truckloads of sand. Yeah.
Okay, so we could play a game where if someone guesses within like $100 how much you spent on the sand, maybe I'll pin that comment or something like that.
Okay.
We'll turn it into a game.
I like that.
But yeah, should you read the comments? This is a Christine question. She could talk your ear off about whether that's a good or bad thing. That's a really complicated question, actually. Yeah. I think a lot of people starting out, it's very healthy to read your comments and engaging them, especially if you're trying to build a channel.
Yeah, which I'm not. But like,
no, if you're just appearing on a channel, like maybe you want to do it, and maybe that tells you something about yourself. But I would just be very cautious in not trying to let anonymous internet opinions affect your self-concept too much.
Okay.
Because there's always going to be people out there who think they know better than you, or are very willing to point out if you said some like one thing that was stupid out of an hour of footage. And
right.
Yeah, you just have to sort of acknowledge that that's a real thing and that you can close a computer and they don't exist anymore.
Okay. Because I think your fans are pretty nice because they're pretty nice to me.
Yes, the people who watch us tend to be overwhelmingly positive, and there's like a Discord community and all sorts of places. We engage with people, and I'm not complaining. Like we've had a pretty great experience on the internet, but it just sort of comes with the territory. If you want to read it and just gas yourself up a little bit,
pump my own tires.
Pump your own tires, go for it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so nice comments only.
Nice comments only. Well, they were mostly nice. There were some nice comments.
Oh, yeah, you looked last time?
I looked last time, yeah.
Yeah, you feel good about it?
Yeah, mostly, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, people thought I was a pretty nice guy.
Was it mostly about the sand and volleyball?
Mostly about the sand. A lot about the sand and the volleyball. But there was a lot of comments that people said, you guys have to come out to see the court. So we could do that.
Well, hey, if we do a third podcast, which is asking a lot, Derek, we can make it all about
my rate will
volleyball
go up from 0 to 0.
Yeah. I'll owe you more tacos this time.
More tacos, yeah.
All right, good epilogue. Thank you so much for joining. I do appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
And we'll see you next Taco Tuesday.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Bye.
I don't know where to look.
That's okay.